This is Top Accurate Global News Update. I am Abiodun Mohammed. Russia and Ukraine announced a prisoner of war exchange on Thursday involving the return of 45 soldiers from each side. Russia's defense ministry said that 45 Russian servicemen had been returned from Ukrainian custody. The Russian news agency RIA reported Andriy Yermak, the head of Ukraine's presidential staff, said 45 service personnel and 2 civilians had been returned to Ukraine. In a post on the Telegram messaging app, Yermak said some of those freed had fought in Mariupol and the southern city's Azovstal steel plant, and others had fought on the front line elsewhere. In quote, "Each of them is a hero," Yermak said. Ukraine's human rights ombudsman, Dmytro Lubinet, said most of those freed were seriously injured and all would undergo rehabilitation. In a separate post, Yermak said that 2 children, aged 6 and 10, had been allowed to return to Ukraine following the release of their mother, a military medic, last October. Russia and Ukraine have periodically exchanged groups of prisoners in the course of the war, now in its 17th month. Israeli forces have shot dead a Palestinian man after he opened fire near an illegal settlement, killing 1 Israeli soldier, according to Israel's army. Palestinian group Hamas said the attack on Thursday was in response to Israel's 2-day military offensive this week on Jenin. The Israeli army said the assailant opened fire at security forces who had stopped him near the Kedomin settlement in the occupied West Bank to inspect his vehicle, which they found suspicious. The soldier was declared dead at the scene. The attacker then fled the scene before he was tracked down and neutralized, the army said. Palestinian news agency Wafa identified the shooter as Ahmed Yassin Ilal Gaitan from the village of Kibia, west of Ramallah in the West Bank. Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich, a firebrand settler leader, lives in the area of the shooting. Smotrich also oversees planning of settlements in the West Bank, which are considered illegal under international law. Hamas, which runs the besieged Gaza Strip, claimed responsibility for the shooting, which it said was carried out by one of its members. In quote, "The enemy will know that its massacre in Jenin only increased our people's insistence on resistance and adherence to its approach until liberation," the group said. The United States has decided to send cluster munitions to Ukraine, multiple news outlets have reported, despite concerns about the deployment of weapons banned by more than 100 countries. The weapons package, including cluster munitions fired from a 155mm Howitzer cannon, is expected to be announced as soon as Friday, 3 US officials told newsmen on condition of anonymity. The New York Times, citing people familiar with the discussions who requested anonymity, reported that several of US President Joe Biden's key aides, including Secretary of State Antony Blinken, had recommended the US send the weapons at a meeting of top national security officials last week, despite what they described as their own deep reservations. Cluster bombs release large numbers of smaller bomblets across a wide area, posing a major threat to civilians both during the war and long afterwards because some of the bomblets will fail to explode. More than 120 countries have signed the 2008 United Nations Convention on Cluster Munitions to ban their use, including some of Ukraine and the US's key allies such as France and the United Kingdom. Ukraine, Russia and the US have not signed that treaty, although a 2009 law bans the US from exporting cluster munitions with bomblet failure rate above 1%, which covers virtually the entire US military stockpile. Biden, however, can override such prohibitions in cases deemed in the interest of US national security. Twitter has threatened to sue Meta Platforms over its new Threads platform in a letter sent to the Facebook parent CEO Mark Zuckerberg by Twitter's lawyer Alex Spiro. Meta, which launched Threads on Wednesday and has logged more than 30 million sign-ups, looks to take on Elon Musk's Twitter by leveraging Instagram's billions of users. Spiro, in his letter, accused Meta of hiring former Twitter employees who, in quote, had and continue to have access to Twitter's trade secrets and other highly confidential information. News website Semaphore first reported, in quote, "Twitter intends to strictly enforce its intellectual property rights and demands that Meta take immediate steps to stop using any Twitter trade secret or other highly confidential information," Spiro wrote in the letter. A source with knowledge of the letter confirmed its content on Thursday. However, Spiro did not respond to a pressman's request for comment. A former senior Twitter employee told newsmen they were not aware of any former staffers working on Threads nor any senior personnel who landed at Meta at all. The Netherlands is said to hand back hundreds of precious artifacts taken from Indonesia and Sri Lanka during its colonial period. Objects to be returned include a gem-encrusted bronze cannon and a looted cache of jewels from the Lombok treasure. A report had urged the government to return items if countries request them. The agreed restitution comes as the Netherlands increasingly confronts its colonial past. Other countries have also begun returning precious looted artifacts in recent years. Notable examples include British and German museums signing over some of the so-called Benin bronzes stolen from Nigeria during a large-scale 1897 British military expedition. Among the collections to be handed back to Indonesia is the so-called Lombok treasure, a trove of jewels, precious stones, gold and silver, which was looted by the Dutch colonial army from a royal palace on Indonesia's Lombok Island in 1894. That is the size of top accolade global news updates. You can follow us on our social media platforms as displayed on your screen. Happy weekend.